Imagine you are walking through your office corridor, or perhaps arriving at a university lecture hall. A colleague passes you by, flashes a quick smile, and says, "Hey, how's it going?" Before you can even open your mouth to explain that you barely slept last night, that your car broke down, or that you are feeling completely overwhelmed, they have already walked past you. They didn't even pause to wait for your response. In that exact moment, you realize a painful truth. How are you is not a question. It is an automated reflex. It is a social transaction where the only legally acceptable answer is, "Good, thanks, and you?" But what happens when someone you care about is genuinely not fine? How do you break through this thick wall of polite plastic small talk and actually ask someone if they are okay without making them feel defensive or uncomfortable? Today, we are cracking open the hidden codes of empathy in real English conversation.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode here at the Daily English Lab. I'm Henry, and sitting opposite me is Lily. Wow, Lily, you really set the stage beautifully there. That specific scenario trips up so many intermediate and advanced language learners. They arrive in an English-speaking country expecting deep connections, only to realize that the most common greeting is a superficial loop. Today's podcast is specifically designed for B1 to C1 learners who want to practice immersive, real-world passive listening while learning how to build genuine emotional bonds using natural language. Exactly, Henry. And to all of our dedicated active learners out there, don't forget to stick around for the second half of our video, where we have our lab break segment. We will pull apart the conversation to dissect 5 highly sophisticated phrasal verbs and empathetic idioms that will instantly give you a more native-level emotional range when speaking. But returning to your point, Henry, it really is a linguistic trap, isn't it? When we are taught English in school, the textbook says, "Question, how are you?" Answer, "I am fine, thank you." It treats communication like a computer program.
It absolutely does, and it completely strips away the cultural subtext. In American and British cultures, greetings like, "What's up?" "How's it going?" or even "Are you all right?" in the UK are formulas for acknowledgement. They mean, I see you, I recognize you as a human being, but I am currently on my way to get a sandwich. If you respond by saying, "Well, honestly, Henry, my anxiety has been through the roof today," the other person freezes. Their brain short circuits because you just broke the unspoken script.
It's so true. They look at you like you just read a line from an entirely different movie script. But this creates a very real psychological problem. Because the script is so rigid, when someone is actually going through a dark patch or when they are drowning in stress, they will still use the standard script. They will still smile weakly and say, "Yeah, doing good. Things are just busy." So as friends, as colleagues, or as partners, we have to learn how to read between the lines. Henry, what are some of the subtle linguistic and behavioral cues that tell you a native speaker is masking their true feelings behind the script?
That is a brilliant question. The first major sign is what I call the defensive modifiers. When a native speaker is genuinely happy and relaxed, and you ask them how they are, they use high-energy vocabulary. They say, "Things are amazing, can't complain," or "pretty spectacular, actually." But when they are struggling, but trying desperately to maintain the social mask, their vocabulary flattens. They will use phrases like "hanging in there," "surviving," or the classic, "yeah, keeping busy." When you hear "keeping busy" spoken with a slight downward vocal inflection, that is almost always code for "I am completely overwhelmed, but I don't want to burden you with my problems."
Oh, keeping busy or another day, another dollar. Those are classic corporate cries for help. Another major indicator is the micro shift in pacing. If you ask a friend if they want to grab coffee, and normally they answer instantly with excitement, but lately they hesitate, or they take 24 hours to reply to a simple text, their social battery is empty. They are pulling back. And when you finally do see them, if their tone lacks its usual warmth, or if they constantly shift the focus away from themselves and back onto you, they are hiding something. They are deflecting. They don't have the emotional capacity to articulate their distress.
So let's look at the heart of the problem. You notice these signs in a friend or a coworker. You want to show them that you care. But you know that if you just walk up and say, "Are you okay?" they will immediately default to the safety of the script. "Yeah, I'm fine, just tired." How do we bypass that automatic reflex? How do we show them that it is safe to drop the mask around us?
The secret lies in a concept called the double-check strategy. Because the first "are you okay" is treated as a generic greeting, you have to purposefully flag your second question as a genuine inquiry. One of the absolute best phrases to do this is, "Hey, I know things have been incredibly chaotic lately, so I wanted to ask, how are you really doing?" By adding that tiny word, "really," and dropping your vocal pitch into a softer, slower rhythm, you signal to the other person's brain that you are stepping out of the standard script. You are creating an intentional pause just for them.
That word "really" completely transforms the weight of the sentence. It operates like a verbal hand on the shoulder. Another masterclass technique is to anchor your concern in a specific observation. Don't make it a general question. Make it observational. For instance, you could say, "Hey, I noticed you were a bit quiet during the team meeting earlier, which isn't like you. Is everything okay?" This is incredibly powerful because it proves to the other person that you are actually paying attention to them. It shows they are visible to you. You aren't just reading a script. You have noticed a change in their energy.
That approach is so grounding because it removes the vagueness. It makes them feel seen. But there is a huge caveat here that we need to address: the fear of overstepping. A lot of people, especially non-native speakers, worry that if they ask something so personal, they will violate cultural boundaries or make the person uncomfortable. They worry they will sound intrusive. How do we navigate that boundary line safely, Henry?
You protect that boundary by offering them a safe psychological exit ramp. You explicitly give them permission not to talk about it if they aren't ready. You frame your care as an open door, not an interrogation. You can say something like, "Hey, you've seemed a bit stressed lately. You don't have to talk about it at all if you don't want to, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm here if you ever want to vent." Look at what that sentence does. It removes all pressure. It doesn't demand an answer. It simply places a supportive safety net underneath them, allowing them to step onto it whenever they feel safe.
That is beautiful phrasing. I'm here if you ever want to vent. We are definitely going to analyze that word vent in our lab break. What I love about that approach is that even if the person still chooses to say, "Thanks, I'm okay," you have still won. You have planted a seed in their mind. When they are sitting alone late at night, feeling isolated, they will remember that you noticed, that you reached out, and that you left the door open without judging them. That knowledge alone can completely pull someone out of an emotional tailspin. It truly can. And let's talk about what to do if they do decide to cross that bridge. If they drop the mask, look at you, and say, "Honestly, I'm really struggling right now." This is where a lot of people panic. They think, "Oh no, I am not a therapist. What if I say the wrong thing? What if my English vocabulary isn't good enough to fix their problem?" But here is the grand secret of human connection, Lily. People don't need you to fix their problems. They just need you to witness them. Exactly. Empathy is not a problem-solving contest. When someone is venting to you, they don't want a logical list of 10 solutions. They want validation. They want to know that their pain makes sense. In English, you don't need complex, decorative vocabulary to show deep empathy. Some of the most profound empathetic phrases are the simplest ones. Phrases like, "I am so incredibly sorry you're going through this," or "That sounds so incredibly exhausting," or simply, "I don't even know what to say, but I am so glad you told me."
Those are perfect examples, Lily. When you say, "That sounds so exhausting," you are validating their current state. You are giving them permission to feel tired. You aren't forcing them to look on the bright side or stay positive. Toxic positivity is one of the quickest ways to shut down a real conversation. Telling someone who is depressed or highly stressed to just smile and be happy feels dismissive. It tells them that their real emotions are too ugly or too inconvenient for you to look at.
It really forces them to put that fake plastic mask straight back on. True fluency in a language isn't just about having perfect accent control or knowing every single grammatical tense. True fluency is emotional fluency. It is the ability to use your words to create a safe space for another human heart. When you can sit with someone in their silence or hold space for their frustration without panicking, you have achieved the highest tier of communication.
Beautifully articulated, Lily. This whole discussion highlights that language is a tool for connection, not just information exchange. If you can master the art of the intentional double check, if you can spot the defensive modifiers, and if you can listen without trying to fix everything, your relationships, both personal and professional, will transform dramatically.
Let's pause our conceptual discussion here and transition directly into the lab break. This is where we break down the mechanics of the language we just used, so you can adapt these high-utility phrasal verbs and idioms into your daily vocabulary.
Let's dive into our first expression, to read between the lines. This idiom comes from the idea of looking at a written text and finding a secret meaning hidden in the white spaces between the actual sentences. In real-life communication, when you read between the lines, you understand what someone is truly feeling based on their tone, body language, or omissions, rather than their literal words. Example, she claimed she wasn't upset about missing the promotion, but reading between the lines, I could see she was devastated.
Our second word is a highly common verb, to vent. Originally, a vent is a small opening that allows smoke or gas to escape from a closed room or machine to prevent an explosion. Metaphorically, when you vent to a friend, you are releasing a huge buildup of stress, anger, or frustration by talking about it honestly. You aren't looking for a solution, you just want to let the emotional steam out. Example, do you have 10 minutes? I just really need to vent about the ridiculous feedback my manager gave me today.
Third, we have the phrasal verb to overstep. Imagine an invisible borderline drawn on the ground that represents privacy and social boundaries. If you cross that line and ask questions that are too personal, too invasive, or too rude for your current level of relationship, you overstep. Example, I want to ask him why he and his partner broke up, but I am terrified of overstepping my boundaries as a mere coworker.
Fourth is a beautiful, modern, therapeutic idiom, to hold space. When you hold space for someone, you are creating a safe mental and physical environment for them to express their raw emotions, whether it's tears, anger, or confusion, without trying to interrupt them, correct them, fix them, or change the subject. You are simply standing there as an unconditional witness to their feelings. Example, instead of offering advice, he just sat quietly on the couch and held space for her while she wept.
Finally, number 5, to short circuit.
This is borrowed directly from electrical engineering. When two wires touch accidentally, electricity bypasses the normal path, causing a spark, a small explosion, or a sudden system failure. In psychological and daily life English conversation, we use it when someone's mind completely freezes or becomes paralyzed because an unexpected event has disrupted their usual routine or automated script. Example? When the interviewer suddenly asked me what my biggest childhood failure was, my brain completely short-circuited.
That brings us to the close of today's vocabulary workshop. Now it is time for your active challenge. You cannot build fluency by just being a passive listener. You must take immediate action.
That's right. Your homework today is to look down at the comment section below and write a short paragraph using at least one of the 5 expressions we dissected during the lab break. Share an experience where your brain short-circuited, or tell us about a time you had to read between the lines to help a close friend.
Our team tracks the comment section daily, and we will personally check your grammar and give you feedback on your syntax. Remember to look out for your friends this week. Break past the automatic script and double-check on the people you love. We will see you in the next session at the Daily English Lab.
Take care, everyone. Bye.